I just want to take time to really talk to you about what the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Africa Business Center is all about. But more so, why does it make sense to invest in Africa now than ever? So let me move to the next slide. We strongly believe that it's extremely important for people to understand what is really happening on the continent. So the U.S. Africa Business Center, again, is the Africa department of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is the largest trade organization in the world. We have over 3 million members across the world. We have within the U.S. market, I'm sure you know all the local Chamber of Commerce, about 3,000 local Chamber of Commerce. Outside the U.S., we have what we call the American Chambers of Commerce, AmChams, about 125 in over 100 countries. In Africa, we have about 16 AmChams on the continent. And so you could see how it's important to build on this massive infrastructure that we have to advance your business initiative across the world, but more so on the continent. So let me probably, I think that's what I was talking to you about. And of course, when we speak about a continent, we cover the whole of Africa. Within the U.S. Africa Business Center, except Egypt. Egypt is, we have a separate council for Egypt, but you could see on the far right what the key markets that we have in Northwest, Central Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa. Those are places where we have seen members be engaged, doing business, but it does not mean that this is how it's going to stay the whole time. Africa is extremely dynamic now, and things are happening on a daily basis. And I also saw the Slido, the little survey you were mentioning, where people were kind of interested in energy, oil and gas, transport, logistics, and many other things. We see similar engagement on the continent. So we see members are in oil and gas, mining, manufacturing, financial services, logistics, energy, healthcare, almost quite a wide variety of sectors. Now, why does it make sense, business sense, to invest in Africa? We again believe that when it comes to investing in Africa, it's all about the narrative. For a very long time, Africa has been portrayed as the place where they're receiving aid, place of poverty, place of where it doesn't make any sense to do business, but yet the statistics are showing the opposite. You could see that more than 50% of African population have the age of 18, 19. That's the medium age. So you could project the medium age of 1.3 billion, more than 50% of age of 18. So that is quite massive. If you project in terms of consumer base, that is quite impressive. By 2050, so that is less than 25 years away, just a generation, we're talking about 2.5 billion people. And that will be more than China, India, all those different continents that you know. We're also talking about by 2030, Africa under age 18 will increase by 170 million. You have 40% of the world children under 18 that are in Africa. And lastly, you see that about, again, when we're talking about Africa, we have the household consumption is about 3 trillion US dollars. So that's quite massive. Give you the depth and breadth of the spending power of folks on the continent. The internet economy, what we call the digital economy, is about 750 billion. By 20 right now, about it's less than that. It's about we estimate 750 billion by 2050. And it's important for you to note that, because that's where the area where we see a lot of growth, a lot of startups on the continent, small, even smaller than the company that you are currently, that are flourishing. In 2022, you have, company about, I think, 5 or 6 companies that were able to grow the business to unicorn level, raise close to 5 billion a year. I also want to tell you that, the 10 fastest growing economy in 2023, out of the 10 fastest growing economy in the world, 6 of them were from Africa. So talking about Cote d'Ivoire, DRC, Rwanda, Niger, Senegal, Libya, all those countries are in Africa. So you could see the dynamism of this economy in these countries on the continent. So it makes a lot of sense to pay attention to trying to expand your business over the continent. Now, this slide is quite interesting. This is actually the infrastructure deficit that you see on the continent. But I don't call it infrastructure deficit. I call it infrastructure development opportunities, right? And this is where business like yours could actually play a big role. Roads, when it comes to infrastructure, the road is a dominant mode of transport. And yet the road density is extremely small. We're talking about 8 kilometers for 100 kilometers, compared to 67 kilometers per 100 kilometers in the US. The railway is also quite low. You can see the figures here. Transportation costs, more than 50% more in Africa than Latin America or in Asia. The economic cost of inefficiency, is actually quite impressive. So you see, for example, that we are actually estimating at 172 billion the cost of inefficiency on the continent due to all those infrastructure deficits I spoke to you about. 60% of the population in Africa, close to 600 million of folks, do not have access to electricity. Seems extremely alarming when you see all these statistics, but if you are a business person, that gives you an idea of what type of opportunities and things that we have on the continent. Just want to flag that for you quickly. Here, I was trying to show you, some investment outlook in Africa. US FDI, foreign direct investment in Africa by industry. The full the FDI on the continent, we're talking about 53 billion. It is small. It's small compared to a big country like Africa. If you see in other part of the world, is actually much bigger than this. So, and you could also see the sectors, the business service, software, hotel, food and tobacco, and tobacco, transport, chemical. This is really the variety. I mean, the distribution of those investments. And I was talking about, the greenfield projects in terms of FDI. The full total in the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa is about 161, and that's the distribution that you see here. In terms of countries, you see, again, Sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, and other countries that you could also see over here. If you want to look more deeply in terms of FDI recipient in Africa, you could see really that countries like Egypt has received close to 149 projects. You could also see other countries, number 2, South Africa, number 3 here, you see Morocco, 4, Kenya, number 5 here is Cote d'Ivoire, just to name a few. It tells you the number of projects that you see flowing in those countries. Now, what I would like to really spend time to speak to you about is, okay, we see all those deficits, we see all those opportunities. What is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce doing to attract more private sector? U.S. private sector into the continent. And this is precisely what we do here at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We have an initiative called Advance with Africa. Advance with Africa is a roadshow that we do from city to city. Those who are in Atlanta probably seen in 2022 were there. Even this year, we also went to Atlanta with the President Biden advisory council on diaspora. Also, we went with them and able to speak to local business on why it makes sense to invest on the continent. More importantly, how do you invest on the continent? What are the tools that are available for you as a U.S. business to invest on the continent? What are the key things that you need to know to invest on the continent? So we partner with agency from Prosper Africa. And you know Prosper Africa is the U.S. agency initiative, presidential initiative for Africa to invest on the continent, using a whole of government approach, close to 16 to 17 agencies within the U.S. government that comes together within the umbrella of the what we call Prosper Africa to support U.S. private sector interested in investing on the continent. So in terms of mission for the Advance with Africa, really to increase understanding among the U.S. Business, more so for U.S. Small and medium enterprise across the U.S., how to invest on the continent. Really introducing, again, SMEs on trend and opportunities on the African continent. And also, expand support at the national, state, and municipal level. And the audience and how we actually engage with the, of course, a lot of webinar, but we also do a lot of business roundtable in those different markets. Again, we were in Atlanta, we went to Houston, we went to Dallas. We are planning to go in Chicago. We also have plans for the DMV area and many, many more. So that is, in a nutshell, what we have in stock. Again, I was talking to you about the partners that we work with through Prosper Africa, USAID or DFC, USTDA, a very great partner for those who don't know. USTDA is able to support you as a business interested on a continent. If you have some ideas and you think those ideas are viable, of course, you could go and speak to some folks at the USTDA to even support you on feasibility studies and allow you to go and have those feasibility studies and present those in a way that makes sense. Of course, DFC is also there. Exim Bank, if you have an export component of your investment, Exim will be able to work with you. So there is quite a lot of opportunities. I will tell you from the number of years I've been working in the US-Africa space. The time seems to be now. In fact, it was yesterday. But if you are really, really interested on the continent, it's now than never. So I really encourage all of you interested in investing on the continent to feel free to reach out to us. I know this webinar is about, contract. How do you secure contract, and how do you what are the ways to go about it? I have to say, unfortunately, on the continent, you don't have that one-stop shop where you get all those information. I know institutions like the Africa Development Bank have tried to publish some a bid coming, on projects that they are financing in different countries. We have some contact over there that we could put you in contact to making sure that you are attuned to all the opportunity that comes from the Africa Development Bank. But you could also get on the website and see those information. But as at country level, we also work with the U.S. embassies, the economic officers, commercial officers, that reach out to us on a very, regular basis to share with us the key opportunities that they see, and we're able to look into our deep network to provide, to give that information. We also have newsletter that we do on a weekly basis, where if there is any information that we need to share to our network, we are able to use that to share. I have to say the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the U.S. Africa Business Center is a membership-driven organization. So probably people will say, well, we have not seen anything, but you have to be a member of the chamber for you to have access to all those information. So if you're interested to be a member, or how can you be a member of the chamber, I'll be more than happy to provide information or put you in contact with the rest of our team to help you do so. And I have my contact over here that allows you to reach out at any time to see how we can support. But I think somebody said it, our competitors are not really sleeping, resting. They are extremely aggressive on the continent, be the European, be China, Turkey, the Middle East. Folks are really investing on a daily basis, and it is important for U.S. private sector to be interested and to be curious, to ask questions and see how we can support them to do so. So I just want to stop here. I see that there's quite a few questions. I don't know, Oscar, if you see any question that I should answer now in the 3 minutes that is left. I'll be more than
Actually, there are a couple, because I think it's most of the folks on here that do already know me. I'm more of like a basic blocking and tackling kind of guy. So, like the steps 1 and 2, right? So I think to kind of culminate some of the questions that's being asked, like, is what would be if someone's interested in either expanding what they're already doing in Africa, or if they're new and trying to get their feet wet as far as getting affiliated or getting connected with some of the African opportunities, or some of the opportunities across the continent of Africa. What does step 1 and 2 look like? I know you provided Advance with Africa, you provided Prosper Africa, but is that step 1 and 2 so they can just know exactly what to do?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Unfortunately, we don't have a one fit all answer, right? The continent is so wide and so diverse, so it's a bit difficult. I think the first point, in my view, is get interested on the continent. If you are really interested in investing on the continent, you have organizations like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Africa Department, which I spoke about Prosper Africa. I spoke about the Africa Development Bank. We have, contact folks that are working from the U.S. perspective at the Africa Development Bank, so a U.S. desk officer at the Africa Development Bank. But you also have all the embassies, the U.S. embassies in all the countries. There is what is called a deal team that is in each of every U.S. embassy on the continent, where you could also reach out. But I also understand that there's a lot of embassies, so you probably start with organizations like the Chamber, or organizations like Prosper Africa, that are able to put you in contact with the right folks, depending on really what you're looking for, and also be interested in all the key activities that are being done. I spoke about Advance in Africa. Be part of the roster of information that are being shared. So when there is a next stop, I know somebody was talking about Philly. Yes, if there is a stop in Philly, you are able to get that information and be part of that conversation. What we are even pushing within the AWA, Advance with Africa, is to make sure we are also able to bring government officials from Africa. So in Africa, you have investment promotion agencies. So once we have those Advance with Africa, we want those investment promotion agencies to come to our stops and be able to present all the key projects that they're looking for investors in the U.S. Come with some decision makers like ministers in charge of trade and investment, sometimes even head of state that comes here. At the chamber, we host close to 60, the Africa department hosts close to 65 events on a yearly basis, where we have the opportunity to host head of state that are visiting the U.S., visiting any city in the U.S. And we do private business, very intimate business roundtable that allows company to interact and also get to know what is happening. But I know this is a beginning is a long journey. You have to get started somewhere, and we'll be happy to interact with you and provide additional context, additional information that you may need to help you. And Advance with Africa, again, is really focusing on minority business also, right? And personally, I've been passionate about working to bring in minority business linked to the continent. I just did, so with some governor coming from Nigeria and some other part of Africa, where we link intentionally minority business that are interested in those continents. So let me stop here. I know the time is short, but I'm extremely delighted and extremely honored to be part of this conversation. And I really commend you for this initiative. Keep it up. Thank you.